Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the CIL Cup Series. Tonight we head out to sunny and hot California at Auto Club Speedway, and it's the Auto Club Speedway you guys and love. Joining me up in the booth here tonight, we've got Zach Lindler from Clemson and Josh joining us as always. Josh Crane up in the booth as well. Josh, good to hear from you and good to be back up here with you tonight.
Yeah, Jarrett, this one's going to be a lot of fun. We had a little appetizer last night in the Prospect Series race here right on the Twitch on the same channel, and we saw that this time Alex Hallinar did in fact get the most out of his tires. He was able to take the same set of Goodyear Eagles 50 laps. That was last night's race distance. It'll be a little bit longer this evening, 70 laps for your drivers that you see here. However, yeah, it was no short order, but what we did learn last night was the tires can fall off. It's pretty consistent. However, we know that we can save some tires with the way that the draft works, and the way that you can take so many grooves at Auto Club Speedway. This track, pretty well known for seeing these cars fan out throughout the turns. And even down on the front stretch and the back stretch as well. So it is a racy track. There's a lot of room, and we've seen a lot of good competitions here, both in real life and also in our virtual world. And so I think that the keys of the race, that it is going to be the draft, the grooves, and can these drivers orchestrate their way, whether there's a green-white checkered at the end or not. There was some really cool notes that we saw last night, and I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if we saw somebody try and stretch tires, get some track position, and then bank on a caution coming out. I do think if there's a late race caution and everybody has tires that are at least 5 or so laps old, then you would see it'd be towards everybody's benefit to come back down pit road and get that fresh rubber. So there will be plenty of room for strategy, especially in this 70-lap event. And I tell you what, Zach, I'm looking forward to all of it. Tell us your thoughts.
Well, you said it best. Last night's event was a lot of fun to watch, but it was really the battle of the pit strategies. We saw our winner, Alex Hallinar, take his tires all the way from lap 1 to lap 50, and he won. But we also saw a couple of guys undercut, pit a little bit before they were maybe supposed to, a little bit before the other guys, and they worked their way up into the second and third positions right at the end. So I think pit strategy is going to be very, very important at this race. Obviously, with these hot California temperatures, the track is going to be very slippery, very rough on tires. We saw that last night. Lap times dropped off very quickly, and even more so through the run. So the big thing tonight is just going to be resource management. You got to take care of your tires. You got to know when to use them up, when to save them, but also how that plays into your pit strategy. Are you going to come in early and try to take an advantage on the guys who are running 2 or 3 seconds a lap shorter, or are you maybe going to hold that pit stop off for a little bit, wait for a caution, try to maybe pressure luck a little bit out here in California? Back to you, Josh.
Yeah, Zach, I think that's probably the way it'll work. As you can see, Colin Culpa there getting his money's worth out of his tires right there off turn 4. You can see getting warmed up in qualifying, trying to get those tires warm and grippy. And you can see there Esteban Munoz from Florida International University and Panther Esports actually making big moves down at Panther Esports, being able to extend that program and to all esports and sim racing as well, making strides down there. So Munoz bringing it to us today, and St. Clair College, no stranger as well to esports. In fact, one of the biggest in North America, and really well supported. I think it shows their progress on track. But I tell you what, Zach, I'm going to peek at the points for the drivers. Jared Kaler, we just talked about Esteban Munoz, Andrew Williams from Clemson University. And those are the drivers that are going to try and make moves here. It's going to be about a 10-point differential between first and second in each event, and about a 5-point differential between second and third position. So not out of reach at all for Munoz or Williams, but it is going to shape up to be a battle between, in fact, just like we saw in round 1 at Talladega, Kaler and Munoz, they fought to the end there, and they might do it again this whole season. Back in the alumni points, Matt Nordberg from NC State University and Thomas Toomey actually separated by just 6 points. And then Colin Culpa. I think Jarrett Culpa, one of our favorite looking cars, race cars on track, with that nice shiny red car, just 13 back. And so the top 3 almost under a blanket for the alumni. Maybe a little bit of seasoning to their game as they go and try and compete. So it's going to be, again, for this race, it's going to be a fun one to watch, and it's going to be meaningful in the storyline of the championships that are taking place this evening. And so we're going to ride on board here. This is, you can see North Carolina at Charlotte. So this is going to be Jared Kaler, and you can see around this big Auto Club Speedway, don't want to turn in too early. It's tempting to get all that real estate down there, but in fact, right now you can see he's just trying to keep the wheels there and just slide that car up the racetrack. Again, with these next-gen cars, there's a lot less downforce going on right now and a lot more power. 670 horsepower, even though there is a fair bit of downforce. And you can see right here, he's opted. He's going to try and keep that speed up. He's going to, in fact, you can see he's in 4th gear. Keep that motor wound up. Keep that right up off the corner. And man, he's going to try and shoot down and get to that start-finish line fast as he can. And whether he's aiming to time this lap or the next lap, remember, he could be setting up another lap. These drivers will have 3. That's going to be what he tries to do. And so not seeing him jump up on the tower just yet, so might have been an out lap for Kaler as he comes in, but we'll see what he goes ahead to do. But that 58 machine, I feel bad picking it every time, but he always one to watch for, Zach, as we go forward here.
And that's something that we've seen a lot this season with these next-gen cars. A lot less downforce, a lot more horsepower, and virtually no side force compared to their Gen 6 predecessors. So the 3 laps is pretty much a gift for a lot of these drivers. You're going to see them take that out lap, maybe run a little bit out of the groove, try and build up some heat in those tires, feel for how the track conditions are, learn how their car is going to react, and then go for it on the 2nd lap, and then go for it again on the 3rd lap. We've seen a lot of fastest laps come in this season in qualifying on the 2nd and 3rd lap, unlike last season where you could really kind of point the nose and send it. You can't really do that in the Gen 6. You got to be patient. You got to build up that heat in the tires. You got to learn about the car, and then you can go for it. But that's one of the things that the drivers have given feedback on this entire year, or this entire season with the next gen cars, is how much they love how hard it is to drive. They love that it makes for great racing. Obviously, we saw the incredible race at Fontana earlier this season in the NASCAR Cup Series, one of the best races we've seen in a long time. The drivers in iRacing here in the league, they're no different. They love this car too, and I think with how wide this track is and how much room there is to go, you're going to see guys sending it 4, 5 wide on the restarts, even on the back straightaway. We saw last night 3, 4 wide a couple of times in the Prospect Series. I think we're in for a great race tonight. Jarrett.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. You're going to see passes, you're going to see strategy, see guys going door to door for a good portion of this race. And I think we say it kind of week in and week out, that selective aggressiveness, that patience we talk about. When do you back out? When do you stick your nose in there? And I think as the night goes on, we'll see more and more guys kind of stick their nose maybe where that's a little bit more dicey than not. But that's what makes it all the more fun, is pushing that to the limit. And you guys mentioned it, the hot track here tonight, 142 degrees out on that Auto Club surface here tonight. So those Goodyear Eagles, they're going to wear, and they are going to wear quick. Josh?
That's correct. It is, it might be the nation's largest griddle. You could certainly put an egg on it. You said it, 140, 142 degrees. It is hot in California in June. So with this in mind, I'm going to, guys, point out those qualifying times. Just run down P1, Robbie Vrabel Jr., you can see there, to the third decimal, 42.083. P2 is going to be indistinguishable according to our tower, but the scoring says .091. So just under .01 separating the top two. P345, guys, .119, .122, and .122. So 3 and 4 separated by 3 thousandths of a second, and position 4 and position 5. That's going to be Hagen Johnson and Andrew Williams, both from Clemson University. Those drivers separated by what our scoring calls less than 1,000th of a second. And so I tell you what, Jarrett, I almost feel like we're at a super speedway. We are these cars are under a blanket. It's a tenth or two for the whole field tonight, and Man, that is tough. But the last thing I'm going to point out here before we start thinking about the grid is that P2 car on the outside. Right now, on the outside of the front row, Ryan Fenty, the only driver last night who could challenge Alex Hallinar in the prospect race, got the most out of his tires, and actually some stellar driving and racecraft before his internet decided to provide the mechanical failure of the evening. He is one that it's a little bit early for picks, but I might keep him in mind going forward as we go through this night. Ryan Fenty is never a bad pick, and guys, I think he has it hooked up tonight.
And Josh, I'm looking even beyond the top 5 at qualifying times. The top 13 are separated by less than a tenth of a second. The current pole time for Vrabel Jr. 42.083. Esteban Munoz is currently provisional P13. He just ran a 42.177. So this is going to be a very close race. These cars are very evenly matched. The drivers leaving it all out on the track. This is going to be awesome. I'm ready.
I think I have to echo that. I'm pretty ready to see these guys and girls dive off into turn 1, fan out 4 and 5 wide, and get it sorted out again. This track, so much fun with the ability to race on so many grooves. And it's very unique in that venue. So we are coming down, probably a minute or so left in qualifying. These drivers, the window is about 10 minutes. Each driver has 3 laps. However, these guys are going to get set here pretty quick. You can see getting ready on your screen the 20 machine of, I believe, Alexander Hogarth, again from St. Clair College, and has decided that's time enough for him. Going to pull that in, and these drivers all now getting ready, making sure their settings are straight, making sure they have the drink, and that they are ready to go racing. It's going to be a little bit longer tonight, guys. It's going to be about 70 laps. If it was all green flag, it would probably be about an hour of racing, which is the goal here. And you can never count out a couple late race yellows or maybe some early race yellows as drivers try and find their place in the rhythm. And so I do think it'll be one to watch this evening.
I can't wait to see these drivers fan out on the restart. Like you said, there's so many racing grooves here across both the Gen 6 and the next gen. I know last season when we came to this track, I was racing as a Clemson alumni, and this track had so many different grooves. You could run low, you could run high, and it all worked. But the biggest thing to watch out for on this track is that turn 4 wall. It comes at you very fast, and it is a wall. It is unavoidable, and it will damage your cars. The damage model on these next gen cars is a little more forgiving than their Gen 6 counterparts, but drivers are going to need to be extra careful of that turn 4 wall tonight as we see our standings going into the race. Jarrett, take it away.
Yeah, so let's run you through our grid as they'll start this race. Starting off on pole is Robbie Vrabel Jr., leading from St. Clair College. And you're going to notice 3-digit numbers and 2-digit numbers. Those 3-digit numbers are alumni of the university, and those 2-digit are current active students. So both out on track here tonight. You see the first student, Ryan Fenty, from St. Joseph's College in New York. He will start P2. Jared Kaler might be my pick to win here tonight. He starts in 3rd from UNC Charlotte. Hagan Johnson, the first of our Clemson drivers, rolls off 4th. Hunter Williams, the Clemson driver, starts in 5th position here tonight. Matthew Tucker from Jacksonville State in the 777 machine. He will roll off in 6th. Jeremy Miller in from Purdue. He will start 7th here tonight. Ryan Whitlock in 8th from Alabama at Huntsville. Athena LeClaire from St. Clair College will start in 9th. And Alex Hallinar, he's from Birmingham. He starts in 10th. Colin Copa from Indiana rolls off 11th. And Matthew Norberg from NC State in 12th. Carrying on down your grid, Esteban Munoz from FIU starts 13th. Tyler Stone, another St. Clair College driver, starts 14th. Jordan Rickey, another Alabama at Huntsville driver, he will start in 15th here tonight. Scott Ratliff from Pittsburgh State in 16th. Rolling off 17th is Nick Stockner. Andrew Olszewski from Northern Illinois, he starts in 18th. And the rest of your starting order, Alexander Gagnon, Nick Maloche, Alexander Hogarth, Jeff Heat, Ethan Head, Andrew Burrell, and they will round out your 25 car field with Kenneth Talbot back there leading the back of the pack. So guys, as we start to get ready to rock and roll, pace lights off on the pace car, and Robbie Vrabel Jr. from St. Clair College will lead us to the green flag. You guys mentioned the fanning. It's going to be very interesting how long it takes to happen. Will it happen turn 1, or will it happen sooner? Let's find out right now. Pace car going to take that turn onto pit lane, and we are going to be underway here from Auto Club. Green flag in the air, and we are rolling. Robbie Vrabel Jr. in the lead. He will go side by side with Ryan Fenty as these cars get wound on up. Super Speedway package, Jared Kaler with a good push in second. Josh?
That's right, up through the sequential gear shifters and down in front. Looks like that 20 machine, sorry, the 083 machine, Vrabel Jr. 58 looking low. That's Jared Kaler on the low side. And right now, trying to work out Ryan Fenty, trying to figure out, I think he's got a car to his inside. Otherwise, he'd like to poke out, but it is a hornet's nest behind. You can see Aaron Quo right there from Binghamton University. That's Alex Hallinar in the 57 machine from Binghamton University. And you see the 169 of Jeremy Miller there in your shot as well. A couple Clemson Tigers as we come back to lead the first lap. It'll be led by Robbie Vrabel Jr. from St. Clair College. And working down through the order now, looks like these drivers are starting to agree on position. You can see drivers right now trying to use that fresh rubber on the low side, but not uncommon at all right now to be up about that middle upper groove even. And so it's already a variety pack for these drivers, Zach.
A great start for both Clemson and St. Clair there, as both teams have 2 cars inside the top 7. For St. Clair, that's going to be Robbie Vrabel and Athena Leclerc. For Clemson, that's going to be Hagan Johnson and Andrew Williams. But already off the bat, we called it. We're seeing these guys, these drivers get really, really aggressive. We saw just absolute chaos on the back straightaway there on lap 1, going 4 and 5 wide down the backstretch. You know, you get a really good run off the top of turn 2. You go to the inside around a couple of guys in front of you, and you really want to make that move, try to get it to stick into 3 so you can clear them on entry. So we're going to, I think the first battle right now for this race is going to be how long do you stay aggressive? How long do you keep it, or do you keep it up? And Jarrett, you mentioned earlier this selective aggression. I think I'm going to steal that term and use it from now on. That was a very good description. But that's exactly what's going through your mind right now as a driver is, you know, I'm very close to these drivers in front of me. I know I can get these positions. Do I go for it now, or do I wait for it later and try to save a little bit of tire right now with these track conditions?
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And something else, you're starting to figure out who's my dancing partner on a track like this where everyone's kind of all under a blanket here. Oh, a little touch right there from Hagan Johnson and Jared Kaler. But they're trying to figure out who can I race with, who can be my friend. You see the Clemson cars trying to work together. We also see Ryan Fenty in the mix as well. So guys, trying to figure out who you work well with and who's going to be there at the end for you. Josh?
That was, and a well-rehearsed play. And a little touch right there. Hagan Johnson going to keep it straight. I believe that's the 7 machine of Johnson. Going through Andrew Williams, the 23, the other Clemson machine, with the going to make it through and take a scenic route through the grass there. That's Auto Club Speedway. No Joker lap required. I don't think that was his choice, but everybody lived to tell the tale, and he'll rejoin alongside Matthew Tucker right there. In fact, that's around the 12th and 13th position after these cars go through the start-finish line again. So, yeah, not quite what he had planned, but you can see coming off the corner, we talked about, guys, that turn 4 wall. It comes up, and these cars can get tight, especially with all that horsepower as we come up. And that wall just turns around, and right there it can jump out as you see on corner exit. And I'm sure that it will do so a little bit more in 10 or 20 green laps when these tires have some miles on them. And so we said it, we saw it once, we will certainly see it again. But yeah, that's key right there. In fact, Alex Hallinar going right down to try and meet Jeremy Miller in that Purdue Boilermakers machine. Didn't quite get it. Now he's found himself inside 3 wide. That is the Colin Copa machine, the Indiana Hoosiers represented in that 006 on the outside. And we're going back into turn 3. Jeremy Miller, and he is committed to that bottom lane right there.
feel like every race, the thing that I talk about being the most dangerous is the thing that winds up burning drivers the most. I'm gonna start keeping a counter every race now. So that's one incident on the turn 4 wall, but going and watching the replay, it looked like exactly that. The turn 4 wall kind of snuck up on Drew Williams there. Tried to clear himself against the nose of Athena Leclerc, but Athena was there and he backed out at the last second and just lost control of the car there momentarily. But thankfully he kept it going, albeit, for lack of a better term, he took the scenic route, as you said. But we're still seeing these great battles at really all through the pack from first to last. Good, hard racing all across the track. There's absolutely nobody who's not leaving it all on the track right now. Very, very exciting what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and one of the storylines that I'm going to kick off on lap 8 here, or lap 9 of 70 as these cars cross the line. University of Alabama at Huntsville's Trey Talbot started in that 25th position. You guys heard Jarrett call him off the grid. Currently earned his way up to 16th position. That's almost 10 spots gained, and we have seen that both Whitlock and Talbot, drivers for University of Alabama at Huntsville and Charger Motorsports, are no strangers to earning all those positions during the event. And so the man is on a charge, and we'll see how high that 55 machine can go. Right now, trying to work on that 33 machine of Tyler Stone. That's St. Clair College. In fact, a car as well to the inside. So, yeah, never a dull moment here, guys, with 25 cars on this Auto Club Speedway.
And didn't we see the Charger Motorsports guys sweep the Hard Charger Award last season? It's almost like they're planning for that, you know?
Indeed, they did, and yeah, that's certainly a strategy they wanted to go through, and I think that's a team that's working not just on being out and being in front, but their racecraft and how they position themselves. And we've seen them charge the field. We have seen a couple wins, both on the road and oval side. In fact, we saw Ryan Whitlock recently with a really solid win and a drive from start to finish at Red Bull Ring in his Lamborghini for Charger Motorsports. And so I'll say a very well-rounded team, Zach. And yeah, you can see right now Purdue Boilermakers just trying to push that Clemson machine along. In fact, maybe a little bit deeper than Clemson had anticipated right there. That is your eNASCAR competitor, Hagen Johnson, for Clemson University. But Jeremy Milleran and the University of Purdue said, excuse me, I'll be on my way. And now Panther Esports, we mentioned at the top of the show, that number 9 machine is next under fire. In fact, it looks like it's going to be 3 wide, a touch from Hagen, and maybe didn't have all the air he thought he had on the nose of that car, and took a tight turn up into Munoz. But everybody made it through the corner. Colin Kupla nowhere to go, and Matthew Tucker looks on as he tries to find his way around. But everybody trying to find their lane. And guys, I see Alex Hallinar again right there with that big old Binghamton B on the hood. He's trying to find his way around, see if he can get maybe a run up off the corner from Munoz. Remember, he was the driver who made 50 laps on his tires last night, and yeah, that's not going to be the run that he was looking for. All these drivers trying to navigate a little bit of side draft, and suddenly Esteban Munoz, guys, is looking pretty good into turn 3.
Great battle right here. We see this gaggle of 6 cars. This is the battle for, I believe, the 7th position. Sorry, the 6th position, excuse me. So P6 through P12 right there, separated by less than half a second. But this is the type of racing as we see Munoz taking it 3 wide up the top, Hallinar in the middle with Tucker on the bottom. Going to think the better of it coming off the turn, maybe. Munoz going to try and set up a good run coming here into turn 3. Big run on the 777 of Tucker. You give him just a little bit of a shove in the turn, try and maybe throw a wrench in his plans on what he thought. Tucker's going to run the high side there. Munoz on the bottom, still coming under fire from Johnson behind. And here comes another Clemson car. That's the number 540 Milliken machine of Nick Stockner, followed closely by, that is the... crossing the timing
That's
line.
the 118 of Andrew Olszewski from Northern Illinois University. And so a couple other players entering this chat right now. And this is what we like to see here at Auto Club. But I'll tell you who's in the middle of this. I've been watching on your screen for a couple laps. Is Esteban Munoz. Every time he gets a run, just nowhere quite to go. I think he'd probably like to be higher on the outside, probably get around the outside of Matthew Tucker in 3 and 4 last lap, but nothing doing so far, and so we'll fan out again. Try it one more time. You're on board with Hagen Johnson. That's the white tiger paw on your screen, who seems to have given away to Nick Stockner right now. Nick Stockner making a big old charge as we see just a kiss of wall there. That's the turn 4 wall. That's going to be maybe the antagonist of our story tonight, that can jump out at any time. But I'll tell you guys, Esteban Munoz, I don't know if that car's doing what he wants. I see him up right by the wall this time. In fact, maybe just a little bit in that wall. I don't think that car is going the right way. That's what Panther Esports wanted. But you can see, speaking of moving up, Trey Talbot in that 55 machine is going to try to get past the 9 car. That's going to be Alabama at Huntsville. This will be for the 15th position if he can clear. And I suppose if he can clear the 9 car, he'll have a couple more in his windshield to work on.
And this battle that we've been watching for the last couple of laps unfold has allowed the 169 of Miller and the 57 of Hallinar and the 777 of Tucker to kind of break away from the pack and set their sights on the leaders. The battle for the lead holding pretty constant. Jared Kaler following Vrabel Jr. right now. The gap is almost at 1 second. Was almost at 1 second across the line that time. I've seen it fluctuate. I've been watching it for the last couple of laps. I've seen it fluctuate anywhere between 0.6 to a second. So maybe the guys up front taking it a little easy, maybe not racing each other as hard as these guys in the mid-pack. Obviously driving around the track, choosing different lanes is going to burn your tires up more. So already we're seeing a little bit of strategy coming into play, a little bit of selective aggression per se up at the front and in the middle.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And I tell you what, as things shake out again, the 9 car going the wrong way. 33 moving up the field for St. Clair College as Tyler Stone trying to get past Trey Talbot, who's on his own mission. But I'll tell you what, up at the front, I do see that gap from Vrabel to Fenty and Kaler just opening up just a little bit. And I wonder if Vrabel has a little bit of a secret as far as getting around this joint that he understands pretty well. We know that Fenty and Kaler, no strangers to being up at the front, and a couple of tricks of their own. And I'll tell you who's up there, guys. Matthew Nordberg for NC State University, running a solid at P4 right now, and just behind, in fact, it looks like just inside, he's going to try and get this 3rd position from Jared Kaler in the 58 machine, and that's going to be North Carolina State University, working on the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. So a little bit of an in-state battle, but we will see who can come off turn 4. It's going to be generally a run for the outside car right here. Yeah, Nordberg not quite able to close that door, and probably Jared Kaler, you can see just to the right side of your screen, he's poking in right there. So if Nordberg can try and get in and get a little bit of a slide job going, that would be a benefit, but I don't think so. I think that Kaler is there. He's up on the outside. He might have a run coming off. So again, we see some good side-by-side battling, these two, who both probably want to be in front. But I'll tell you what, don't lose sight of that leader, because pit stops are coming, and you don't want to be too far back, especially as Ryan Fenty now kind of enters into no man's land. He's getting a little bit closer, about 7/10 that time, and maybe it helps to have a distracted Jared Kaler behind him.
And that's one of the most not necessarily annoying things as a driver, but it's very easy to have somebody get in your headspace. You know, you're running up front and you're keeping your eyes on the leader. You're trying to match their pace, try to outpace them a little bit, figure out where they're driving, what they're doing, and then next thing you know, somebody's knocking on your back bumper, maybe literally. And then now you have to mentally adjust. You got to shift your strategy from chasing down with the leader and staying with them to now you've got to defend against the driver behind you. And I think that's what we're seeing Kaler do a little bit here. So Kaler, very, very smart racer. I think he knows when to pick his battles. So maybe he'll decide to be a little more aggressive to start off with here. Maybe he'll try to save his tires and let Nordberg by, as we see a great battle shaping up here. That's the 57 of Hallinar, the 61 of Leclerc. This is the battle for the top 5 position. Hallinar had a very, very good race last night. Obviously, both he and Fenty put in some laps during the Prospect Series race. Obviously, Fenty had that incident that sadly took him out of the race and forced him into retirement. But showing that he is no stranger to speed at this track, currently running P2, Hallinar running P6. ready to chase down Athena Leclerc for P5. So we're seeing maybe some experience and some in-race practice from last night with these high temperatures shining through tonight.
That is correct. And big moment a little bit on your screen as you see the 55 there. We've been calling his name all night, of Trey Talbot. He has just completed the pass and will be scored, as you can see, coming across the line. He's 11th on top of your screen, but he will be 10th and has cracked his way into the top 10 as he crosses the line from his 25th position, starting position coming up. And so that is a really good situation for that team. Charger Motorsports going to be looking at Trey to take their hopes far. Back on your screen, you can see Ryan Fenty made and completed the pass for the lead. Robbie Vrabel Jr. going to give up that position, and he'll find himself in second. And yeah, probably not such a big time right here. It's possible, yeah, Fenty going low, trying to complete the pass. We saw that he was saving his material, saving his tires, and just closing that gap ever so slightly. And no fight from Vrabel, probably a little bit early for that. These are two smart drivers who understand that as long as they're under the same blanket with about 10 to go, nothing too concerning right now. And so, yeah, you can see right there, Ryan Fenty and St. Joe's University trying to make that track as short as they can, especially across the front stretch. Not uncommon to see those drivers take that line there. I'll tell you who I do see up front, though, for St. Clair College University, in addition to Robbie Vrabel Jr., Athena Leclerc. We just talked about racing Alex Hallinar there in front, but Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College has been showing a lot of speed.
Trouble, back straightaway,
all
car
the
on
time.
the wall.
And car on the wall on the backstretch. Jeff Pete looking off the pace right now for the University of Minnesota in that 119 machine.
Looked
And
like
yeah, I tell you what,
he
he looks like he has especially tested that new damage model on his cars. You can see Esteban Munoz to the outside there. He's down in turn 2, maybe carrying a little bit more speed. He seems to be hanging with that second seam there in the asphalt. Looks like that 9 car was able to go up. A couple cars went up, and yeah, maybe a little bit loose and an overcorrection right there. And actually, you know what? I wonder, Zach, if that was a little bit mechanical or electronic, because a very lazy spin to the right after what I thought looked like a fair good save.
Well, and now I'm invested in this because that happened to me at the end of last season's race as well, where I got just a little bit loose off of 2. I saved it, and next thing I know, the car just veered right into the wall. So maybe something a little aerodynamic there. The car didn't exactly shift right. It didn't sit right when he corrected it from the spin, or from the about to be a spin. Very good job from him for correcting it the first time, but maybe the car suspension not sitting like it should, and it just took him straight right into the wall. So thankfully he was able to get off of the racing surface and back onto pit road without issue. But tough break for Jeff right there. He's a very, very good driver. He was running, I believe, P10 at the time. So good result from him. Just unfortunate.
And a really solid battle now, going back and forth, switching positions a couple times between the 118 and the 006, Colin Kopel and Andrew Olszewski. Andrew Olszewski making his Premier Series debut this evening, and doing a good job of it, I probably should add, but a pretty good battle between these two here, and a fair amount of respect as they try and compete side by side and use all that room on track. But yeah, about 25 or so laps in, so wouldn't expect any pit stops yet, but could be coming. Could be coming within 10 or 20 laps if these drivers feel the need to cut the run directly in half, or they might go a little bit long and try and see who can stay out the longest in order to determine who can have the most tire left at the end. But tell you what, here it looks like a couple notes. We have Fenty trying to again fend off, and it looks like we have on pit road Nick Stockner. He's going to make his way down pit road. This will be the first pitting for service. So Clemson University coming in, trying to get full service on that car. You see the 26 sliding around turn 2. So that is going to be Fenty, Vrabel Jr., Norberg. And I'll tell you who's fallen off and is under fire right now is going to be UNC Charlotte's Jared Kaler. Looks like Alex Hallinar is going to try to sneak his Binghamton University machine along the inside. And I'll tell you what, not a big fight from Kaler. And I wonder if Kaler is just waiting for maybe a little bit more action later in the race. Should there be a yellow, he can get bunched back up with fresh tires.
And this is This is why I love this kind of racing, because already we are seeing the chips on the table. My notebook is burning a hole through my pocket right now as a crew chief, because we're starting to see cars come in for this undercut. Anywhere from lap 25 to lap 30 is going to be your undercut. So cars like Nick Stockner from Clemson, they're going to be really relying on a late race caution. We did see Alex Hallinar make it 50 laps, which is about the distance to the end now on a single set of tires. However, he didn't do so very gracefully. That car looked like a handful to drive. So if you see guys coming in the next 2 or 3 laps, you're going to see them banking on a late race caution. But I think Jared Kaler maybe letting some people go by, picking his battles. He's going to save his stuff a little more than the other guys. Try to stay out for 6, 7 laps more when that tire fall off starts to really make a difference. Maybe make a little overcut of a pit stop, try to get himself back up to the front. But I think we're going to start seeing some green flag pit stops here, anywhere from lap 30 to 35. Try and cut this in half. Strategy is about to get really, really good, guys.
Yeah, speaking of things that are good, a competition for the lead right now. You're looking on back at from Ryan Fenty to Robbie Vrabel Jr. and Matthew Nordberg from NC State, who has squarely entered the chat. We saw him racing Jared Kaler and has marched his way up. In fact, he had a little run. Now he's going to try and negotiate his way around Vrabel. Fenty, I tell you what, he loves cutting down and trying to make that shortest way. And you can see Nordberg trying to find. I think Nordberg has position on the outside. Vrabel's going to cut it off right there and have a little bit of defense, though. Wants to be on that front row should a yellow come out or anything there. But to it back, a little bit of a move here from Matthew Nordberg, Zach, as he tries to get underneath, and he's going to leave room on the outside. It's a drag race down the backstretch.
Side by side, they're going to go into turn 3. Ryan Fenty looking out of his back windshield and loving this side. That's the best thing you can see as a driver is 2 cars behind you, side by side. But it looks like Nordberg's going to get the better of it into 4. Going to try and maybe complete the slide job. Yes, he does. So Nordberg will be able to clear Vrabel. That's for the 2nd position. So some good battles inside the top 5 we're seeing here as Kaler loses out on P4, drops to 5th. Alex Hallinar overtaking him for the 4th position. Athena Leclerc still running 6th, 169 of Jeremy Miller, and from Purdue running 7th. Matthew Tucker 8th. Andrew Olszewski in his debut running 9th. Colin Culpa in 10th as you run down to the top 10 here as we approach. We're now on lap 30, so we're going to start seeing some green flag pit stops here pretty quickly. I think so, Josh.
Yeah, the paths will start to diverge. As you mentioned, the chips come up on the table. I tell you what, speaking of information for your crew chief's notebook, Zach, I did just watch Nick Stockner certifiably drive by this kind of P13, P15 little gaggle right here on another monitor. As you can see, another Matthew Tucker locking up his way. And I believe that is car number 2 or 3. Looks like big trouble for Tyler Stone. He's going to try and get on. He will take the cone with him, but he will keep that car straight. And we will have to see if iRacing provides a penalty right there. Would not incur any CIL infractions, but sometimes iRacing doesn't like when you knock that cone out of the way. But I'll tell you what, Ryan Fenty not getting out of the way. Matthew Nordberg filling up that rearview mirror and has decided to have a little sprint of his own. I don't think he's saving any equipment. I think he wants this lead right here, and he would like that fresh air. So he's going to look. We know Ryan Fenty's going to dive inside, and Matthew Nordberg, I guess the question is, can he make the outside work? And can he carry his momentum up around the outside? In fact, maybe Fenty is going to try and block that off. He'll capture the outside, and Nordberg, we have seen, knows how to make that bottom side work. And so we'll have to see if these guys go on. But neck and neck, Jarrett, they come off the backstretch, and we have another drag race down the backstretch.
And you mentioned Nick Stockner gapping a couple cars on the back straightaway there. I'm looking at his lap times. Before he pit, he was running high 44s. His first lap out, his first full speed lap out was a 42. So he's currently about 2 seconds faster than the people who haven't pitted yet. But we're seeing this great battle unfold for the lead here. Very aggressive attacking and blocking from both Nordberg and Fenty. I think we're going to see some cards on the table here. Both of these guys going to leave it out on the track before they come in for their halfway pit stop. 2 laps until halfway. Nordberg going to get right to the quarter panel of Fenty. Maybe a little love tap there. Fenty's going to go high off the corner, going to try and contain as much of that speed as he can down the back straightaway. Nordberg gets a very good run. They are still dead even, matched on pace into turn 3. Fenty going to run the high line again. Nordberg making that bottom line work. Going to maybe send it a little bit harder than Fenty. Couldn't quite clear him for the side job. Fenty, be careful of that turn for a wall, buddy. Nordberg is going to complete the slide job, and we will have a new leader this time by Matthew Nordberg of NC State leads Ryan Fenty almost to the halfway point.
Yeah, that is North Carolina State University to the point here at Auto Club on lap 34, and he's been watching that prospect race last night. He saw Fenty do that very same move on both corner of these of this racetrack. And you can see these cars starting to get sideways, get a little bit loose off the corner, which lines up with our data from last night. Again, this track still about 140 degrees, no fall off in temperature. And so you can see these drivers actually very tight right there from Fenty, uncharacteristically, and continuing to wrestle that car. Yeah, and looks like 57 going to try and bring it down pit road. Fenty going to bring it down pit road. So it's time to change these tires, and this is halfway, so these two drivers have decided lap 35, we're going to let it go, and I wonder if Fenty had let Nordberg go right there. But yeah, well done pass by Nordberg, and now he's got some time to get out in front. And so the leaders, gentlemen, have made their pit stops, and so the question is, how long do you stay out? Because as you mentioned, you're losing a fair chunk of time every lap, Zach, that you don't come in if you're one of these leaders who's staying out right now. So Nordberg is looking at this, and so is Robbie Rabel Jr. and saying, when can I get down to pit road, or when is the smartest time to do that, Zach?
Oh, you want to stay out right now as little as possible. If I'm Nordberg's crew chief, I've had his pit crew sitting on the wall for the past about 2 or 3 laps, waiting for some of those guys to come in. We saw the game of chicken last night, pit stop chicken, between Hallinar and Fenty last night to see who was going to pit first. But here we see the floodgates have opened on pit road.
Guys.
Oh yeah, a
lot of action.
A lot of cars on pit road.
Jared Kaler, Colin Kolpa, Esteban Munoz, Ryan Whitlock, all on pit lane, right at the halfway point, guys. And judging from how we just watched these lap cars unlap themselves, I gotta imagine leaders are coming in soon as well.
I think so. I think you'd be a little bit of a sitting duck if you weren't able to. Now we did see last night that the no stop worked. As Vrabel a little bit loose, still trying to get it worked out on pit road. We'll see if he got it slowed down. But we were going to say that last night it was Alex Hallinar who made it 50 laps on tires and was able to make that work so far. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see that with 70 laps, guys. And with 20 extra laps, we know from the pace last night that it is possible for the fresh tires to simply catch and outrun your leader. So Matthew Nordberg, I doubt Nordberg is trying to do a no-stop strategy right now. As you can see, Alex Hallinar out with those fresh tires, simply driving around, and it looks like actually coming to pit road. This is going to be the 076 pit this time by, so that should complete. And I tell you what, guys, maybe he was just waiting to see if there was a caution as these cars get on pit road. Sometimes you don't want to put yourself in a bad position by coming in too early, but I think that that is the cycle nearly complete, Zach.
I believe so. Athena Leclerc is now the next car. She has inherited the lead by not pitting right now, so I think we'll see her coming in very, very soon. But yeah, a lot of pit strategy there this time around. Looks like we're going to get our first set of green flag pit stops complete here in the next couple of laps. Maybe our only pit stops of the race if we stay green until the very end. Obviously a couple of drivers banking on a late race caution. As there we see Scott Ratcliffe also taking the scenic route. We still stay green. Maybe he had a little trouble coming into pit road, as we've seen a couple of drivers do already. They lock up the tires on these very, very hot tires, hot slick track. But yeah, Athena Leclerc is still running strong. Looks like she's going to stay out one more lap.
Yeah, she is, and you can see the 747 that you saw Ratliff there in the grass, not able to get slowed down, which seems to be the theme for pit road this evening. And so he'll be now one lap down, and then he will again have to make that pit stop. So very tough right there for that machine and for Pittsburgh State University. But you can see right there the 61 machine of Athena Leclerc is going, leading some laps. And we'll see what this strategy is. Didn't have this one on my bingo card unless that maybe she's trying to make it a full distance. And you can see here that the 88 of Andrew Williams, Andrew Burrell for Clemson University is going to now make his pit stop. Once we cycle through, it looks like Andrew Williams may be in a position to take the lead, but nothing slated until we're all set. In fact, it's a trouble
Hallinar
on
in the
front
wall,
stretch,
out of 4.
and we have the 57 is around, and it looks like Nick
Caution.
Stockner may have helped a little bit, but Binghamton University around, and he'll not appreciate that. That was not what the 57 wanted. He was on his own strategy. I don't think that was a part of it. But yeah, those cars up a little tight up against the wall, and just not what they wanted to see.
If you're a car that hasn't pitted yet, that was the absolute blessing you need. Looks like the 58 of Kaler got a little loose there, washed up in front of the nose of the 57. The 57 tried to check up, had nowhere to go, and got turned by the 540 of Stockner there. So really, really tough break for the 57 as we get another angle of the replay here. He was in a great battle with Kaler. I believe this was for the 8th position. We're going to ride on board with Stockner here, see his view. Yeah, there you see the 58 kind of wash up. 57 came with him, and I guess the 57 just didn't expect the 540 to be there off the wall. So
yeah, I think he was aware of the 540, and it looked like the we'll see on this replay, the 540 got a little bit loose right here. You can see the 57 trying to work through this gap, and Jared given the room to Kaler, he didn't have the position, but right there, actually both cars come down just the 540 faster. So that will be an unfortunate end of line for Stockner and Clemson University there in that 540 car.
turn 4 wall, it comes at you, and by the time that you can check up and realize that you're about to head straight forward, it's a little too late. That car got loose. The 540 came back down on the 57 and turned him in the wall. So really unfortunate there for Alex. He's been running really, really good all races. Now we see some caution pit stops underway. About 6 or 7 laps age on these tires, so definitely enough to see a degradation of performance. So a lot of drivers coming in as you watch Robbie Vrabel Jr. take his pit stop right there at the very end of pit road.
Yeah, guys, we got 3 guys staying out. Jared Kaler, Matthew Norberg, Ryan Fenty, all going to stay out, take the track position here. Their last pit stop was on lap 35 and 37 for each of these drivers. So Zach mentioned it, just about 5 or so laps on each of these guys' tires. And will that play a difference? You're going to see it from 4th on back. I am certain it will. But will they be able to hang on to it for long enough? That's going to be the question. And will we see another caution before the night's over, Zach?
Well, remember how I talked earlier about how my pit strategy book was burning a hole through my pocket? Well, I just threw it in the trash can because this caution blew strategy wide open. We're seeing 2 different strategies now. We're seeing some guys stay out up front, maybe going to take what they've got and run with it and hope for another late caution, which it's not always a horrible idea. Cautions do breed cautions. Barney giving us his best pose right there, as you can see. This will be lap 43 completed. So over halfway through the race, strategy very much in play here. Some chips on the table, cards in hand. I'm excited to see where this goes, Josh.
Yeah, it was, and I'm going to call it maybe a break even for Athena Leclerc. Was spending a lot of that time in the P6, P8 range. And pit stop cycled out. She tried to stay out as much as she could, then came down with the group. Looks like it's going to restart in 8th position. And so, going to be about a break even for that strategy. But I think that's simply information, and good information for these drivers should they find themselves in a similar position. Now that everybody's been down pit road, some with old and new tires, these drivers are going to come down and have to keep some of that in mind for should they have yellow towards the end or yellow with a green-white checker. And so something maybe that stood out to me. But as you can see, it looks like Jared Kaler and Matthew Norberg. We talk about that North Carolina battle between NC State University And North Carolina at Charlotte. They're going to have your front row. Jared Kaler is the control car. Fenty, Vrabel Jr., Millerin, and Ethan Head from UTK Esports going to fill your top 3 rows. And these drivers are getting set, Jarrett, to bring us the green flag.
Pace car takes that hard left-hand turn into pit lane. Top 3 cars going to try and survive in this restart as they hit that Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air, and Jared Kaler is off and away. We know he's great on restarts. No surprise there as he's going to pull out to a 2, maybe 3 car length gap on second place, Ryan Fenty. But Fenty trying to hold strong on the bottom. A great push from the 083. That's Robbie Vrabel Jr. in that second seam. He's going to get Nordberg out to that second position as they head down toward the back stretch. Zach?
Yeah, great restart there from Kaler. He did all he needed to, but obviously Robbie Vrabel Jr. pushing Nordberg back into it, mixes things up a little bit. Ryan Fenty still holding on there. Jeremy Miller in the Purdue 169, kind of a 5-car breakaway we're seeing already at the front of the field. Great battles we're seeing already, but we expected the aggressive restarts, that's just the nature of this track. We saw the chaos forming even before the drivers hit the restart zone. Trying to think, where am I going to go? Where am I going to make my moves? Am I going to go try and split the middle? Am I going to go low? That's what's going through your mind on a restart as you're trying to make these chess moves ahead of the guys in front of you. Try and gain as many positions as you can on the restart. You see Vrabel going under Nordberg here into turn 3, right on the bumper of Kaler, as you see Millerin and Fenty still side by side right behind them. Looks like looks like Vrabel's going to make a move under Kaler here. They're almost 3 wide for P3 coming out of the turn there. Vrabel taking the low side, still under Kaler side by side into 1. Nordberg by himself, 1 wide, still 2 wide behind them. And here comes, I believe that's the 23 of Drew Williams into the mix now. So we're seeing essentially a 6-car battle for the lead. P1, P2 side by side, P3, P4 wash up a little bit, but they keep it going. Still side by side down the back straightaway. This is a really entertaining battle, guys. I'm loving what I'm seeing.
And a little bit of a checkup there as you ride on board with, I believe, the 23 of Andrew Williams. He had a checkup, now has a run to the outside. Fresh tires means he doesn't have to worry about that wall as much, and I think just completed a double overtake, also known as a bit of passing in oval racing. And these cars are going to dive back down in a much different order to turn 1. But I'll tell you what, Vrabel Jr. Working the bottom to make his way to the front on fresh tires. That seems to be a pattern that I can trust. You see the 076 move up a little bit. A firm move by Kaler. Esteban Munoz down on the apron, but it looks like he will keep that car straight. But we are 2.5, 3 wide. We'll get it figured out before this turn. And you can see the 169, actually, that Boilermaker machine, not making as much forward progress as he would have hoped as these cars try and get up off the bottom. But 5th place going to be Ryan Fenty and the rest of these cars to follow. But I'll tell you what, nothing is decided right now. I'll tell you what, from 25th position at the start, Trey Talbot has made his way up to 7th or 9th, depending on how iRacing decides to score it. And I'll tell you what, guys, it just sounds like everybody's position is plus or minus 2 or 3 right now. It feels like we're at Talladega.
As we're still seeing these battles inside the top 7 heating up and staying hot, almost as hot as this track is. Now you see Ethan Head coming back into the mix on the bottom of your screen there. We're going to shift our attention back towards the battle for 2nd here. Really just incredible driving, incredible racing from all of these guys in the top 10. But to kind of build on your point there, Josh, what we saw out of Miller, and I think that checkup in turn 3 a couple laps ago really killed his momentum. He lost his momentum for that last lap, but it looks like he's got that car back going as he is just past Athena Leclerc for the 7th position that time by. Still 2 wide with her. As Leclerc is going to get a really good run here off the bottom. Going to go underneath Fenty down the back straightaway. They're 2 wide. I believe that is for the 3rd position or the 2nd position up front. That's Drew Williams challenging Jared Kaler for P2. Kaler going to stick to the bottom here. Drew on the newer tires is going to try and make the top work. Let's see how this fans out going onto the front straightaway, and that's going to be a very easy pass as now Kaler falls under fire from Matthew Nordberg in the NC State machine. Behind him, another Clemson driver, and Hagan Johnson as they're 3 wide even behind him. That's Leclerc, Fenty, and Millerin 3 wide into turn 1. We're going to see how this shakes out. Fenty sticking to the middle. Millerin making that bottom line work really well. Fenty looks like he lost a little bit of momentum that time around and is going to come under fire from Trey Talbot, who has driven his way literally from the back of the field. And they're going to finally get sorted out towards the front of the field, but I don't think we're going to stay that way for very long, as we're still in complete chaos mode here towards the back of the top 10, almost 4 wide there, 3 wide coming out of the corner here. Athena Leclerc is going to get the better of that with Trey Talbot close behind her, Ryan Fenty below him, and even more cars coming into the mix now. This is great racing that we're seeing here in the top 12 positions.
It is absolutely Fenty trying to make their work, and I'm not sure what the best play is. I see that Vrabel Jr. has checked out on the low side, but I see Fenty working the middle, and Athena Leclerc making some really good moves on the high side, but now pulling out around Hagen Johnson in that 7 machine. See if she can get a draft from the 169 as they go down in this corner. Miller will probably go low. You can see on board with UAH and maybe Hagen Johnson up in the wall a little bit higher than he'd like to put that Clemson machine. But that 7 car right there and on board with Trey Talbot now. University of Alabama at Huntsville going to try and figure out how to get around that 7 machine in front as we go through. Working about 19 laps to go. So would be on about lap 50 or so of 70 laps, the race distance here. Big run, but nowhere to go with it. In fact, into the wall a little bit, Trey Talbot. Don't know if that was calculated. But sometimes that happens. These cars can be a little bit tight, especially when there's a car in front of you, Zach. And so got a whole run and nothing to do with it. But I'll tell you what, Ryan Fenty down on the bottom. And Hagen Johnson again in that wall up there. And I dare say that the right fronts on these cars, we know that it was the storyline last night. The first tire to wear quite heavily. And these tires are newer, but I doubt these drivers have saved as much as far as their tire wear. And so maybe we're starting to see some of these cars that are getting tight. You can see right there, 23, that is your Andrew Williams machine for Clemson University on the outside. And he's going to try and maintain his top 5 position. Car's about 3 wide. Athena Leclerc is also trying to get through Zach. Nowhere to go for her, so it's going to be a drag race between her, the 169, and UNC Charlotte down below.
I think maybe Kaler is kicking himself a little bit for not pitting that time, because he'll now be relegated back to the 7th position this time around. So from pole on that restart to 7th position, Kaler is not really keeping up very well with the leaders. So he's going to be begging for a late race caution here, as we see 3 wide still into turn 1. That's Hagen Johnson, Trey Talbot, and the 118 of Olszewski under him. This is a massive pack that's battling for the 7th position, that's Colin Culpa leading that pack right now. Ethan Head bringing up the rear. We're going to get a little bit of an onboard looking out of his windscreen as they're single file into turn 3. Going to see about a half a lane's difference between everybody here. Going to try and think we're maybe seeing people start to take it easy. You still have 16 laps to go. You've burned up a lot of your tires already, doing some very aggressive racing, all that lane changing. You gotta always keep your sights set on that checkered flag.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think that is where some of us have set our sights, and with 15 laps to go coming up, I think that the drivers have agreed it might be time to race, because we're riding on board with Ethan Head right now, the University of Tennessee, and then a little bit back further in the pack, the race continues on. In fact, up front, you see just in your shot, Ryan Fenty, Trey Talbot trying to make his way through. We talked about that 118 car from Northern Illinois University. In fact, the University of Indiana trying to catch up to Ryan Fenty here, and maybe a little bit of a draft, and actually a block from the 26 machine up to the front, coast to coast across the front stretch. And Indiana now probably not going to have a run off this corner, guys. So Olszewski and that 118 machine, Northern Illinois, going to have a little bit of speed behind the 26 machine, St. Joe's University. Hagen Johnson in the back of your screen, and right there you see Ethan Head on the radio trying to communicate to these guys. right there in the middle. So still holding that center groove after all this race is Ryan Fenty. He must really like it there. I'll tell you what, with 15 laps to go, I do notice that Robbie Vrabel Jr., it's worked in his favor, guys. He has checked out about 2.3 seconds, but this race battles on between the 26 and the 118, Zach.
I'd say look for Nordberg to start pulling this back relatively soon. We saw in last night's race that even though you may work out to a big lead, tire strategy still comes into play, and you can see those leads disappear very quickly. So even though Vrabel has a almost 2.5 second lead on second place Nordberg, 3/10 back from Nordberg to Leclerc, Vrabel's still got to keep his head in it. There's still 14 change laps to go in this race as we see this battle for the 6th position battle up between Kaler and Williams. Kaler to the inside of Williams. They've got Jeremy Miller in the 169 up ahead of them. A little contact there, maybe some paint trading. It's going into turn 1. Kaler's going to stick to the low line, send it deeper into the turn. Maybe thought about a slide job. Didn't exactly work that way. Williams is going to get the better run off of 2, though. Both of them going to get the draft off the 169 and Miller in, as that front pack, as you can see, has checked out. So the race is between these 3 guys now.
Then I'll tell you what, the awesome graphic on the screen there, the only reason that I'm not sure if Nordberg can come back, he's got 4 more laps on his tires. It's only 4 laps, but we've seen that tires are huge here, and I'm going to back my point up by going down to P8. Ryan Fenty, we talked about him, 24 laps on those tires. In fact, it's going to be 25 when he crosses the line compared to 17 on everybody else's tires, and so it doesn't take many laps to fall off. And I'll tell you what, I do, even as I say that, I see that gap was 2.3, then it was 2.4. Now I'm showing about 2.5 and 2.6 if I round up from Vrabel Jr. to Nordberg. So I will say also that Robbie Vrabel and Jr. and Athena Leclerc taking home 2 of the 3 top 3 positions for St. Clair College. So awesome outlook for that team right now. They are set up to go, and about 10 or 11 laps or so from bringing that thing home in a really good position, Zach.
And this is great for the St. Clair iRacing team. They've had not really the best luck so far this season in either series. So if these results hold, carrying 2 spots out of the top 3, this is going to be an incredible result for them. I'm very happy to see them finally have their big break. Vrabel, the gap just continues to grow, 2.54 seconds between 1 and 2 that time by. I think we may start seeing P2 Matthew Nordberg coming under fire from 3rd place Athena Leclerc, as that gap shrunk by about 0.2 that time around.
That would be a heated battle for 3rd. Awesome if they could go 1-2 across the line for St. Clair College. But I'll tell you what, you're still watching Jared Kaler. He has been moving. He moved past that Clemson machine of the 23 machine. That was Andrew Williams, and now he's trying to get by Jeremy Miller in that Boilermaker machine. That's the 169 car, and he's doing it all on the low side. So Jared Kaler may go into the Robbie Vrabel school of driving that white line, and he's getting it done. And now trying to set his sights up ahead. Don't know if he's got enough time to get up to Athena Leclerc right there, but I tell you what, a little bit of a forward march that maybe I didn't have on my bingo card for that 58 car. You can see right here, though, big battle. That's the 57 of Alex Hallinar from Binghamton University, and a couple Clemson cars in tow. Jeff Pete we saw earlier, and the University of Tennessee's Ethan Head is going to try to make his way forward and get around that Minnesota Gopher. But yeah, I think this is 5 cars that are trying to sort out their position in the next 9 laps.
Jeff Pete is currently scored 1 lap down. So he is caught up in this lead lap battle. We think maybe he'll be a little smart, but I think looks like he's trying to stay in the draft here, as it's not that much of a difference between him and Scott Ratliff behind. So they're still fighting to be the first car 1 lap down. You see Ethan Head taking the high line. We're still seeing drivers this late into the run and this late into the race choosing different lines as we go back towards 2nd place Matthew Nordberg. And it looks like Vrabel is pretty much gone. If he's got to keep it on cruise control, and this race will be his. Nordberg still has to worry about Athena Leclerc in the mirror. That gap has grown to about 0.5 second between the 076 and the 61 there. But now Athena's got her own battle to worry about because, like you said, here comes the hard-charging Jared Kaler in that 58 49ers machine from UNC Charlotte. I was about ready to count him out a couple laps ago, but it looks like that car has come back to life. So maybe we saw a little bit of a master plan there from the 58 machine, trying to save tires for one last run until the end. But it looks like he might have waited just a little bit too late. We're going to see if he can make a top 3 out of this, Josh.
Yeah, UNC Charlotte certainly saved a little bit of car, saved a little bit of driver for the end of this one. He's going to try and cut down on that corner, get a really good run up off that corner. And yeah, close the gap a little bit, but not quite the run he was looking for. I do note that gap is going down, maybe a tenth or half a tenth a lap, but not enough for Nordberg to get up to the front. And Leclerc, though, I think that is the battle under fire right now. Leclerc was actually closing down Nordberg for a little bit, but the dynamic shifts here as you ride on board and look back at UNC Charlotte. They're going to be hungry to get around with 5 laps to go, and seems to be in the zone right now. He's turned it on, Jared Kaler has, and so these two are going to battle up front. You can see Kaler go down, dive down to that inside. We saw him do it last lap. Does he gain any more this lap? Going back up on the backstretch, it looks like he did gain up alongside, but 1,300 horsepower going down into turn 3. Didn't quite get the job done, but Zach, I think maybe 1 or 2 more laps, he might have his plan set.
And this is where Kaler's experience plays very much into his favor. He has consistently been one of the best drivers in this league in all the seasons that he's raced. And it's like I say in every race, the drivers who do well aren't necessarily the fastest, but they're the ones who are smartest. This is a 180-mile-an-hour game of chess. As there we see Miller in trying to make a double pass there, going 3 wide, sending it under the 23, and I believe that was the 118 of Olszewski. Going back up here to the battle for second. Leclerc still under fire, or the battle for third, sorry, excuse me. Leclerc still under fire from Kaler. I've noticed this stint that Kaler has enjoyed running that middle line, so very smart move there by Leclerc for taking away that middle line from Kaler. Going to force him to run low, maybe where he's not as comfortable, maybe doesn't like how the car feels down there, and he's going to try and go around this time side by side into the corner. Kaler still about 2 lanes under Leclerc. Leclerc is going to get the better run off of the high side coming off of the corner. Kaler's going to try and take that side draft, little side drafting you can do in these cars, almost making contact. Still side by side into 3. They are it's a dead heat into 3, really. Kaler washes up a little bit of contact with Leclerc. This is going to be a great battle as we're now approaching 3 laps to go in this race, Josh.
Yeah, that might have been a little bit of a 0x right there as they continue to stay side by side, and Kaler trying to keep that 61 machine, keep both cars up towards the outside. He wants his entrance to this corner. He might have got it right there. As you can see, he came in high. He's going to cut down low, and I'm sure he's back to the throttle right now. Can he hold it in line? You can see Leclerc is going to have to run off the corner, but close the door. Jared Kaler closed the door. Leclerc maybe had some opinions. Not sure what was said right there. Don't have the radio on up in the booth, but coming back strong on the inside. Can Leclerc do it? It's going to be a side draft. 3 laps to go right now. It's going to be 2 laps to go at the line. Your order is Vrabel Jr., Nordberg, and Leclerc right now, who will be scored behind UNC Charlotte. But right now, Jared Kaler has 2 laps to defend for the final podium position, and this one has shaped up to be a little bit of a scorcher. These two going back and forth. Can Athena get back and steal a little bit of that magic that 58 machine has found in this last 10 laps?
Yeah, this is working all into Kaler's favor now. Athena had the clean air earlier, but now Jared's going to have that clean air behind Nordberg. As clean as you can get it as we're now approaching the white flag. 1 to go. This race will be official when this crosses the line. So no green-white checker this time, as we remember last season had a green-white checker finish. There you see just up ahead, Vrabel has now crossed the stripe. 1 lap to go in the CIL Cup Series here at Fontana. And it looks like Kaler has checked out from Leclerc. He might have secured himself that top 3 position Your running order on the last lap: Vrabel Jr., Nordberg, Kaler, Leclerc, Olszewski. Really standout race from Olszewski. First, it's his debut in the CIL Cup Premier Series, and he's going to bring it home P5 if he keeps it together. Let's see if Leclerc has one last push. Doesn't look like she's going to be able to make anything work coming into 3. But she can't get it. But her teammate, Robbie Vrabel Jr. from St. Clair, is going to bring it home. He's going to bring the checkered flag back to Canada. He will win at Fontana.
Wins at Fontana. Some awesome battles still developing through the field. You can see Olszewski come across the line there. The 540 of Nick Stockner. Ethan Head at the University of Tennessee beating the Clemson competitor in your shot there. As you can see, the University of Alabama crossing the line, and then another Clemson machine, and Robert Morris University. That's Alex Gagnon. These drivers are, still catching up. As you can see, a couple drivers finishing up and everybody trying to cool down. I think there will be a fair amount of cooling down. I didn't see too many reasons for tension going on here, Zach, but man, I'm still catching up to it all. Robbie Vrabel Jr., first and foremost, quietly controlling, dominating this whole race. There was a moment in time where Matthew Nordberg was making a push, but right there, maybe that front end wasn't compliant. I do think Vrabel just nosed himself in the wall. I don't know if that was calculated, but nothing doing it. Burn it down. Robbie Vrabel has earned the right to win it here tonight.
Yeah, excellent driving all race and great patience from Vrabel, knowing when to make the moves, when he needed to attack, when he needed to defend, and the smartest driver won today. So congratulations to Robbie Vrabel and St. Clair College. They are now CIL Cup Series Premier champions. Winners, sorry. Got a little ahead of myself.
They've got some room to make up in the point standings, but if anyone's going to do it, it is going to be the St. Clair College team. And I tell you what, 2 alumni taking the first and second spot. Robbie Vrabel Jr. in first, and Matthew Nordberg holding on for second position. And I tell you what, Jared Kaler in third right there. He stayed out. We thought it might be a mistake, and he played his cards right. That was incredible by Jared Kaler to come away third here tonight. Josh?
That was really incredible. Really strong run from Jared, and we'll get to talk to him. Be interested to see what he saved. I mean, maybe he was just really soft on the tires and turned it on at the right time. Timed that last 15-20 lap run really, really well. But that seems to be the case, as you can see the final grid and the final finishing order on your screen.
So quick run through the top 10 here as we get our top 3 finishers up in the booth. Robbie Vrabel Jr. from St. Clair College, your winner by 2.5 seconds on that long green flag run to finish it out. Matthew Nordberg from NC State in second. Jared Kaler from UNC Charlotte holds on to third. Athena Leclerc from St. Clair College in fourth. Andrew Zluk, jeez, yikes. You're going to have to help me out on that one.
Come on, Jarrett. You got it.
Olszewski from Northern Illinois finishes in fifth. Jeremy Miller in from Purdue in sixth in that 169 machine. Seventh position is Andrew Williams, the first of our Clemson drivers. Ryan Fenty falling back. Remember, he stayed out on those tires. He falls all the way back to 8th position. Alex Halinar finishing 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is Colin Kolpa from Indiana in that 006 machine. So joining us up in the booth is your race winner. It's Robbie Vrabel Jr. And what a run you had, Robbie. It looked like you were in a different zip code for a lot of the race. But walk us through that final caution and talk about your pit strategy there.
Yeah, I didn't put a whole lot of practice into this one. I was way off on long run pace. I think I was just over driving the short run. I was able to build a big lead, but by lap 20, those guys were able to run me back down and drive off. So the second run, when we got the caution, I don't know what happened for the caution, but it was just nice that I was still on the lead lap. It left that strategy open. With how bad I got pulled on that long run, I figured I would need a little bit of a tire advantage. Thankfully, nobody else pitted, and I was able to make it work.
Yeah, congratulations, Robbie, on the finish and on the whole drive tonight. In your strategy to start out, did you calculate a few more cautions closer to the end of this one, and did you have to modify on the fly, or was it all in stride for you?
No, actually, pitting under that caution was actually a last second thing when we caught the field off of 4-ish. I saw the pace car and I saw there wasn't very many cars in between us, and I knew that there were some guys that were trapped a lap down as well. So I knew there were some guys that had stayed out that had to pit no matter what. So I just kind of came down with them. Like I said, a lot of it was influenced just based off of my long run pace. I didn't do a very good job at all in that first run. I did get out to a big lead, and I was trying to gauge it off of Kaler behind me. I was just trying to manage the gap, and I don't know if he got tight and hit the wall or if he just burnt his stuff up as well. But when he started falling back, then they really started to come after me, and I fell back a little bit too, and realized I had to back it up a lot and save it. But that caution just was the opportunity for me to come down and put a little bit fresher tires on, and I just tried to use that to my advantage. I did not expect to get out to that big of a lead, but it was nice because I was really able to manage it. Once I got to 2 seconds, I just tried to manage it and save as hard as I could, and managed to bring home the victory for St. Clair College.
Yeah, what a win it was. But Robbie, tell us who you want to thank for this one here tonight.
Everybody at St. Clair College, Dan Banners, for everything that he does behind the scenes, making sure that it's all organized for us to show up and do this. You guys for doing the broadcast, everybody at CIL for all their efforts to put this on. I enjoy it. You guys are the ones that really make it happen. So without you guys, this wouldn't be a thing. So I got to thank you guys.
Well, always fun watching someone like you behind the wheel tonight. So, Robbie Rabel, go enjoy it tonight. Go bring it back to St. Clair College, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. You guys have a great night. Thanks again.
So that was your winner, Robbie Rabel Jr. And I think Dan Banners actually called it in pre-race. I think he said, tune on in. It's sure to be a good show. And what a show it was. He did not disappoint, so we'll have to listen to that advice next time when we're picking our race winners. Josh?
Yeah, I think that is totally correct. And Robbie just has been in the oval scene and iRacing for a long time, has the knowledge base, and really that whole camp at St. Clair College, and it shows in every race and makes sense in each of their drives. And so, yeah, 100%. I mean, he read the room and he executed, right? Those are the two key things to do. And I mean, that's no surprise from St. Clair College.
Yeah, it was a good run there. And now joining us up in the booth is our second place finisher in the 076. It's Matthew Nordberg from NC State, who did a lot of battling with his North Carolina counterpart, Jared Kaler. But walk us through those pit stops there in the middle stages, Matt, and how key fresh tires turned out to be for you.
Yeah, the pit stops, I was surprised people were pitting as early as they were. I thought some people would try to overcut and see how far they could go and see if there was a wreck, but most people pitted like halfway. But yeah, I was pretty conservative because I knew I could get onto pit road pretty quickly, but I was in the lead at the time when I came into the pits, and I was like, the worst that can happen if I pit slowly is I lose 2 or 3 spots, I'm in 4th. So take it conservatively, don't have any penalties. And it worked out pretty well. I got into my pit box pretty well and came off pit road pretty quickly. So I think I came out like right behind Jared, and I guess it was effectively 2nd place, 3rd place maybe. But yeah, pit stops, especially at the end there, I was getting really loose. That my left rear tire was getting pretty worn down. So yeah, the fresh tires was a bit of a relief.
Well, Matt, congratulations on the 2nd place finish. It's great to have you back in the booth, although for a different reason. Matt is one of our producers in the Prospect Series. But Matt, you've now extended your lead over Thomas Toomey and Colin Culpa in the Alumni Championship. Do you think this is going to set you up for some really good runs as we move on to Bristol and Homestead to finish out the schedule?
I'm trying not to worry about the championship picture too much right now because I had a pretty poor race in Watkins Glen on the 2nd race of the season. So I know that Thomas, he had a big points gap there. And with the drop week, I think that maybe about evens us out. But Bristol is a short track. A lot of things can happen there that, may or may not be your fault. It's just short tracks in general that atmosphere and that tension can arise from there. So one race at a time with the championship battle, but definitely happy with where I'm at right now.
Well, congratulations, Matt. Is there anybody that you'd like to thank or shout out while you're in here?
Any of my friends and family watching this, hello. Thanks for watching. And thanks to you guys for putting on a great show for us and all the other drivers tonight. That was some really fun racing.
Congratulations again, Matt. Great drive, great strategy, way to keep it patient. Good run, great finish. Congratulations on P2. We will see you in 2 weeks for Bristol.
Thank you.
So,
And
Matt,
there you
what
heard
were-
it. Humble in victory, humble in a good finish. He said he's not really too concerned about the championship at this point. He said it right. Bristol is coming up next week. As we all know, short track racing can happen.
It can definitely throw a wrench in a couple people's championship plans, for sure. Joining us up in the booth now is the 58 UNC Charlotte, Jared Kaler. And Jared, it was no easy task for you in those last couple laps. Walk us through that final restart, and we saw you drift back a little bit, but then charge right back through the field. What was your strategy when you knew there were basically the entire field with about 4 or 5 lap fresher tires than you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of burned my stuff up in that first run, so I kind of wanted to maybe save a little bit in the second run, knowing that if it went green, I would be able to kind of rally back through the pack. So I kind of dropped back a little bit, saved my stuff, and then everyone else kind of burned their stuff a little bit, and I was able to come back up through the field. So that kind of was the game plan, especially after I burned my stuff up pretty badly in that first run.
Yeah, Jared, congrats on that solid third place, and on that drive back up through to your position. How did you time that run, and was there a point at which you said now it's time to go to 100%, or were you really saving your tires through the whole run, and that was simply the outcome?
Yeah, I kind of was just saving the whole run, and then everyone else sort of started dropping back a little bit. And I was like, all right, maybe if I push for a lap or two, I can get by this person, and then get in front of them, and then maybe save a little bit, and then I would see, by saving, I'm gaining in reality. So yeah, I think mainly the whole goal was just saving the whole way, and then obviously like the last 3 or 4 laps, you're just kind of pushing as hard as you can.
There you go. Well, that's awesome. Tell you what, congratulations again, and tell us who makes this possible for you.
You guys for setting up the league and setting up the session and organizing everything for us. And my buddy Jake was in the Discord with me and kind of helping me out tonight. So that was a lot of fun to have him with me tonight.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, congratulations again. You earned it, man. Race smarter, not harder. So, Jared, congrats. Enjoy it for sure this evening.
Thank you, guys.
I'm gonna add that, Zach, to my my notes there. Wanna really save your material. And I tell you what, all the way through this race, the temperature did not drop off. That number, 142, I think, degrees Fahrenheit, that we started this track temperature at. It was 90 ambient, and it was 142 on track all the way through. And you could see these cars sliding. You could see the lap times falling off. It was hot out there. These drivers stepped up to the challenge, and you heard there, Robbie Vrabel able to maintain his equipment through. He even felt a little bit earlier like he was overdriving. He said those long runs were not for us, but he was able to come down, take tires, get those fresher tires, and that set him up for success. And then we heard similar notes from Jared Kaler, who said, "Hey, get just this UNC Charlotte machine. It likes to go smoothly up to the front." So I think that highlights maybe when you're racing, you hear, "Oh yeah, be smooth. It'll be quite fast." But really, the finesse that these drivers are employing to come away with these results.
Yeah, the strategy we've seen, especially this season, that strategy and resource management has been the big key to success. A lot of drivers throughout all of their interviews have mentioned saving tires and resources has been the key to their victory. So maybe some people catching on at this point, especially in the new cars. Still a lot of unknowns as we're going to tracks that we haven't been at yet in real NASCAR. So as we can start to conclude our broadcast, it's time for my favorite question of the night. Who is your driver of the day, Jarrett?
Yeah, so I think I got to turn to the driver in the 118 car, who I have butchered his name every single time, but Andrew Osluski in his CIL debut, coming away fifth place here tonight in the Premier Series. He obviously raced last night, but battled through, gained 13 positions over the course of the night, so was not the hard charger. That would actually go to Trey Talbot, but was consistently running with who we consider some of the best in the CIL, the Athena Leclercs, the Jared Kahlers, the Matt Nordbergs. And that was so awesome to see because of continuing to push this level of competition further and further higher. And I think we're seeing a really good level of competition here. Josh?
No, I think that's correct. And I tell you what, my driver of the day, you mentioned Athena Leclerc. Again, spent the whole time up in the top 10. Had that pit strategy that kept her up there amidst a little bit of mid-race confusion. Both green flag pit stops and then the one yellow we had at that same time. And in the end, was able to come through. Again, tough race with Jared Kaler from North Carolina at Charlotte. But, a 70 laps is not a short stint here at Auto Club, and she ran them all well. And again, right, being able to really bolster that team. St. Clair College, she did her part and earned it. And so I think that's the top of my notebook for this one.
I think I'm going to have to go with tonight's winner, the low-hanging fruit. Yeah, Robbie Vrabel Jr. Congratulations again to him for running an excellent race. The strategy was perfect. The patience was there. Obviously, a very, very fast race car and an even better pilot in that cockpit. So congratulations to Robbie. He's my driver of the day today, but I also want to give another special shout out to the Saints iRacing Academy from St. Clair College. 2 cars inside the top 5 tonight. So massive, massive result from our friends north of the border tonight.
Yeah, and I think you heard him mention that manager, Dan Banner, has really been working with those drivers, all the drivers at St. Clair College, and putting up these results. Doesn't happen by happenstance, and that's the exciting part of it is this program is becoming and is currently a force in sim racing and in oval and in road, and so that's a key shout out there. They have the components in place to be successful, and it shows up in victory lane.
And I doubt it's the last time we're going to see one of them up in victory lane. And you guys said it, a really good run by a really good team. So I think we're seeing the beginnings of maybe some St. Clair College dominance. Because you said it, Zach, 2 drivers in the top 5 is a hard feat. We've only seen it done a couple times. We think back to UNC Charlotte when they had Jared Kaler and Santi Perez. They were able to do it, but they had to battle with the Tennessee team. So it's very hard to do, and they did it here tonight quite convincingly, I might add. So for all of us up here in the booth, hope you guys enjoyed that one as much as we did. If you want more CIL action, be sure to tune in 7 days' time as we head back to the roadside. You'll see some familiar faces there as they head to Barber Motorsports Park. Set to be a good one. First time CIL has visited there. And if you want more oval action, Zach said it, it's short track racing. Anything can happen at Bristol Motor Speedway, and that'll be in 14 days' time. July 5th. Be sure to tune into that. We might see some special paint schemes as well. So for all of us up here in the booth and all of us that make this happen, thank you for your attendance this evening. We hope to see you again soon. Good night, everybody.